Yo, yo, what up, what up? How's it going? So, yeah, choppy after large moves. Pretty ironic, right? So, I think a lot of people, they get excited start of the week. They see huge moves, right? This is about, what, 300 points on ES and then even more than that. Oh, yeah, no, about 300. And then, what, like 1800 on NQ. So, huge move to start the week. But think about it, why would it be that we would just continue having massive that's a ton, that's hundreds of trillions of dollars, what am I saying, in movement in 2 days kind of thing. Why is it that we would just continue doing that? So think about it as just always accumulation, manipulation, distribution. So this large part was accumulation right here, and then we see a manipulation, then we see a distribution like this. That is on a smaller time frame. Yes, I've made the argument that this could actually be one large accumulation right here, and then this ends up being kind of, so we have like that, right? There's our accumulation, and then instead of this being the manipulation, it's actually this whole thing is part of the manipulation, right? If we're zooming out, we maybe get all the way up to I think I've marked out around 8,000, and then so this is the manipulation. And then here is our distribution. So, but it's all fractal, right? So, yes, you can look at it as on a smaller time frame. At the very least, you saw accumulation right here. So accumulation, manipulation, distribution. So we've hit our large distribution channel, and now what are we doing? We're kind of accumulating in here. What I think is going to happen next, I believe. So we've hit this TR pocket, right? Last video we said, I was saying, I'd like to hit this TR pocket. Oh, we just came points away from the level that I had, the 4.5 standard deviation, 78.23. We hit 78.20.50. So close. I saw a lot of sellers getting active there, so I was eagerly setting a limit, of course, wanting to be Mr. Perfect Tippy Toppy. Instead, I have to chase lower, very frustrating, for really nothing of a move. Like I said, NFP into the end of the week. So when you have big news like that end of the week, you can really assume that as we get closer to it, price is going to pin. It's going to chop. So it all is making sense kind of thing. It's all lining up. NFP, I think, so we've created this huge range, right, for the week, like this on an ES 300 point range and Q about like almost 2,000, right? So we have a massive range, and I think maybe you're going to see people betting that we're going to either dump out of it or rip out of it for NFP, and I think the most likely scenario is we end up somewhere in the middle, right around there. So I think we're going to see... I've already marked it out. Yeah, this standard deviation. ES takes all-time highs again, and Q does not. So I marked that out. This is a larger manipulation. It's really taken a while for us to hit. We see initial reaction off the 2 finally, and then we're starting to zigzag down. I think it's going to play out like, kind of like, I don't know, like this. Just guessing, right? I don't know exactly how the price action is going to go, but... it's possible if we see some again, we already had ADP yesterday, right? At ADP non-farm private polling, and that came in not good, about half of previous and 2/3 of expected. So that's pretty bad. So no matter what, even if the Bureau puts out like a totally bogus great number, do I think the market's going to take it that seriously? No. So sure, whatever, we hold maybe this area. But I think more than likely it maybe actually is just as bad, and we get a couple surprise things later on into the session. Maybe we get, no, that's, what am I saying? That was today. Oh yeah, was there news today? I didn't even, no, yeah, it wasn't, makes sense again, right? Day before NFP, unemployment claims, shocker from the Bureau, come in just as expected, and then prelim non-farm productivity. These are yellow folders. I've never even really looked at that. So yeah, nothing really to call home about there. Earnings today. Sorry, I feel like I'm getting sidetracked, but I'm just checking. Yeah, again, nothing. We have Berkshire tomorrow, but the time is not even reported that they're going to report out. So I think tomorrow is going to be sneaky in the way that obviously you'll have NFP. I'm sure the print, it will either be in line or won't come in that great, if they're, being honest. And unemployment probably is maybe 4.3. Maybe we see a tiny little bump up. I think consumer credit is going to be a sneaky one. It's a yellow folder, and I think that might not show that great for the U.S. economy, kind of thing. So that might be a little sneaky print that actually, like, data print that gets us down to this area by end of day tomorrow. We might see a lot of jagged action, and then it actually just slowly tapers off in a close, and we see price kind of hold around there. I would like to see 76.40 area, 76.50. I would really like to see that hold. I don't want to see it go much deeper than that. I think, 76, let's say 76.48, kind of 76.48, 76.45, anywhere around there. Looking at region for it to hold tomorrow. And that likewise, I think, might put NQ somewhere around that previous month mid, around 28,900. And that's right in this golden pocket too. So I would look for that to hold as well. And then from there, I just expect, again, inside action. I don't expect us to get outside of this weekly range for tomorrow. I think a lot of bets will be that we will get outside of it, or actually just like dump quite far, and we actually might not, right? So I would look for that to hold. It might actually even hold higher around here, and maybe a little dip on Sunday or something to start the week next week, and we actually see price maybe tap there and then start ripping higher. I think those are likely scenarios for sure. So if we do get down to here, I would look for this to hold tomorrow, if not the start of next week. And then, I'm looking for, so this is done, right? So we've already hit all these levels on the standard, or for the most part, standard deviation. I always like to finish off around the 4.5, pretty typical. So I like that. I believe this is done, and I'm just using this as a reference point to match with like levels I want to hold. Otherwise, I would delete it. NQ, however, we ended up, I don't expect the 2.5, 3 to be like on this large of a range, right? This large of a manipulation. I don't expect it to be super, pinpoint. I just like to see those relative levels give a reaction, a pin, a hold, whatever. So I like that the 3 ended up kind of rejecting us, and now we're coming back down. I'd really like to come down, down to that previous month mid around 28, 8 something, 28, 877-ish area. And then from there, I'd be fine actually moving into the rest of this range and taking all-time highs on NQ. It looked like today, it definitely looked like NQ caught a bid for sure. So of course, there's a nice SMT. There's SMT really both ways. Because I didn't see this charge out of it, I'm not going to play this as like, oh, we're going to just bid endlessly from there. But it looks like its NQ is like kind of finding its footing a little bit. CVD wise, we're actually flipped, right? If you remember about a week or two ago, ES just constantly in the positives, in the green on CVD. A lot of buying going on, and NQ is in the negatives. Actually, it was really annoying because it creates this kind of like tug of war in price action when you have this like bifurcation between the indexes. However, now it is flipped. NQ is now the new golden boy. We see tech starting to like gain a bit of footing, and ES taking a little bit of a breather. It looks like it's just flipping essentially. But I don't really like trading when these two are like acting this differently. When I see CVD kind of in line with each other, that's like the most ideal time to take action. And on top of that, if you see like CVD in line with each other as well as gamma, like that kind of creates your perfect, and VIX too, that can create your perfect type of price action that you want to see. But anyways, so NQ off to the races, CVD wise. So you're seeing a lot of buying pick up. That's why I feel like at some point we're going to bid here on NQ. I just think it'll be a little bit lower. We'll see. I don't really see it bidding from there. I think it's going to be a little bit lower. But after this NFP print, I think then we might be able to find some footing. And I think largely, you're seeing some tech finally catching a bid like individuals. And where is it? SpaceX actually looks like it's coming into the zone that I would like to buy it at. I'm not actually going to buy it. I might do some lotto calls basically. Yeah, the smart move is to really just stay away from this. However, I think, I work off of standard deviations, and oops, a little too far out. There we go. Just taking a basic standard deviation of this kind of, manipulation at the highs. Of course, there's nothing to compare it with. No other index that it's or no other stock that it should be correlated with. I mean, you could do it with Tesla, I guess, but I just don't really see that. Anyways, I work off of standard deviation. So anywhere in this zone, it was a little bit shy there. So more, I like to see basically this zone hold, right? Anywhere from 95 to 109. Essentially, I view this as a buy zone. I do think, this could fall in line too with NFP. I do think we could really see like kind of one more dip into this zone, kind of it like maybe like this kind of thing. And then from there, we could see a significant short squeeze. There is a large amount of the float is being borrowed to sell. So it's a large short float right now. It's about 34%. So that is a pretty prime opportunity for a short squeeze. If there's, favorable news or, even at this point, I just think some new hyperscaler contracts, like let's say more companies get involved with XAI as far as their data centers, maybe some government contracts, anything like that, that would be enough to actually potentially start the squeeze. And then we could see a large push higher. But yeah, I've learned something over the years, and it is to not bet against Elon. There's just too much money on his side. It's almost for now, he's a case of too big to fail. With the amount of money that's flying around, like sure, off far in the future and like maybe like draconian times or something, where everything has changed, even just like market wise and the amount of money flowing around too. I think like M2 money supply kind of thing. If that changes and we're maybe like post 80s style kind of deflationary period, then that'll change this whole scope. But for now, when money is flowing around this freely, I think it's not a good time to bet against guys with companies like these. It's come down quite a bit. So for it to bet on it collapsing further from here, I think is just not a smart play. I think if anything, we'll just see one large manipulation down into the 90s and then rip from there. Could easily bid from here too. I don't know. But yeah, I'm already starting to see signs of this catching a bid. There's been a lot of put writing as well. So a lot of big institutions happily writing puts for this. So that's not a good sign as well if you're trying to crowd into that trade. Anyways, yeah, so that is just showing signs of tech catching a bid. And I really want to see, NQ finish this off at the highs. Now, again, if we're looking... I do believe this is the final stage of this rally kind of thing. I am very much on that in that camp. Where does this go from here? Yeah, so I want to see NQ maybe continue into all-time highs, and then start to flail out relatively. Let's say ES catches a similar bid. I think that puts, I circled it earlier, I already had it marked. I think that puts ES anywhere from like 80.040 to about 81.90 area. I think that would be kind of a likely area for this thing to flail out. At that point, in the 8,000s, I think you'll have a lot of people speculating higher, a lot of just perma bulls just being like 9,000, 10,000s right there kind of thing. And I think you'll see something which is always reminiscent of like the final stages of, like a secular top. Is where, you're not going to see, like, you'll see some good sells, obviously. There'll be signs that sellers are in control from there. But I don't think you're not going to see any, like, from the highs, you're not going to see, like, minus 5%. You're not going to see, like circuit breaker days that just absolutely tank the market. Because that would just be way too obvious, right? Then, of course, people are going to be buying leap puts, years out kind of thing. And, just already counting their gains, at the highs. You're just going to see it just consistently, not make new highs. You'll see it attempt, and then it's going to be like jagged. Let's say we get up here. There's going to be, it'll just be like that kind of, and down, then a bounce up, and then down further, and then here, dead cat bounce. It's not going to be super clean, I don't think. The big, when everyone thinks back to the big sell days of, 2020, 2022, 2008, 2018, 2001, you're thinking a lot about the final stages of those bear markets, where that is when the big sells come in. Those are your capitulations at the lows, actually. Those large sells where you get like -7%, -9%, circuit breaker days, -10+% in a day. Like, those are super rare and they do not happen near the highs, unless there is a black swan event. But I think the black swan events like normally come a little bit after the highs have been formed. I don't think it's ever really obvious, in the form of like you hit a high and then there's a black swan event right after, and then everyone's like, oh, it's over, kind of thing. That's just like too easy. I just don't see that as how this market goes down. Actually, I'll leave that up. So yeah, I think it's going to be it's going to be tough to tell to the average person that was the high. But there will be signs, obviously. You'll be able to start watching a lot of credit breakdown. You'll see maybe some smaller banks starting to close. You already saw that situational awareness, that one fund that was heavily leveraged, like 4x or something, bet on AI. They were just way over leveraged, and Ken Griffin just made a mockery of them, and just played the Wall Street game. So yeah, then they ended up flailing out. So that was a very interesting thing to see. I think that's like an early stage warning kind of thing, that there's a lot of leverage in this. The Kospi, like Korean market, obviously a lot of leverage just in two companies. So you're just seeing signs of people being over leveraged, and now you're starting to see, who's not risk managed properly, and now you're seeing like early signs of capitulation. So this will eventually come. Right now, you're seeing actually a bit of a rotation. So ES just more holding, if anything, but Dow Jones actually faring fairly well, like not specifically today, because again, if tech is catching the bid, like think money flowing away from energy and healthcare defensive type like recession-proof stocks, like they're going to be losing liquidity. It's going to be more piling in again to tech and things that are like interest rate sensitive, that have a lot of volatility. So not on earnings. What am I doing? Calendar. So I think, oh no, not this. Where are we? Well, there we go. So 80 line McClellan. So we actually saw Dow Jones. Look at that, like quite a lot of money getting added to the Dow Jones. So, excuse me. Look at that too, 80 line. So it's really just taken off. So Dow Jones, think energy, right? So that is your late stage secular bull run sign of rotation. Money is overall rotating out of these higher risk stocks into more energy, and then we're going to get a lot of healthcare defensive, like overall. I'm not just talking like day to day, like it was like today or tomorrow or next week. But overall, we're seeing a shift away from that into recession-proof stocks. And then you'll probably see bonds go on a little bit of a run. We'll see something like that. But yeah, so very interesting to see how this plays out. I think this is, again, like the volatility waves are just getting larger and larger. And, these moves, it sucks. Like in the future, we're going to be like, I remember years ago, a large move, on NQ in a day, a large move was 60 to 100 points kind of thing. Like 100 points, you were like, holy shit, that was a big day kind of thing. And now a big day for NQ is like 500. Even if you catch the right day, it's anywhere from like 700 to 1,000 points. Those have been some of the largest days on NQ as of recent. So when you're averaging 100 points to 200, even like 150, and then you're getting moves all the way into like over 500, we're not realizing like the volatility increase overall. It's being overly hidden in the VIX. Like the VIX, look at this, like VIX is like again near the lows. So this is another sign that we're about to see some like mega moves down. I think it's coming, whenever you see VIX, they're just like getting drilled into lows like this, because VIX minus VIX EQ again, showing signs that we're near the end of this. Anyways, I'm starting to babble, but I think, so things to watch. Again, I'll just reiterate it. 7740 area to 7750. Look for that to hold absolute going into tomorrow and beginning of next week for then another continued push higher. And then similarly on NQ 28,900 to 29,000. Look for that to hold to finish off the move at least into all-time highs. At least into this kind of like 31,250 area. So I would look for those levels to hold. And then as we get into those highs, if we start getting into the early 8,000s on ES and above all-time highs on NQ, you can bet you I will be watching very closely to see, what happens on the tape and stuff. Going back quickly, yesterday I mentioned on X, I said I had sold 77.65, basically the highs, so pretty happy with that, although it did not get the move that I was expecting. Just on the tape, this is why I'm not predicting that we make any moves higher just yet, until at least after tomorrow into next week. We had some large sells into the end of the day Wednesday, and then price just respected that level ever since. So I just view this as, I think it's pretty safe to say that we end the week somewhere around here. I don't want to say safe to say, but a lot of signs are pointing towards that. Unless I see some huge change on the tape, all this action right here is purely pin action, right? So buys the highs, sells the lows. That's just pinning action. So nothing really special there. And then NQ again, making no moves, just finishing out in the middle there around that composite POC. So I would say odds are stacked for us to finish the week inside the range, maybe a little bit lower, and then make our attempt at all-time highs on NQ into next week, and then maybe towards the 8,000s on ES, and we'll see if this market just wants to start selling after that finally. We will see. Anyways, that's all. We're at about 20 minutes, so I don't want to ramble on too long. Stay nimble tomorrow. Honestly, if you don't need to trade, maybe just don't tomorrow. NFP can just be some violent price action that just tries to catch people on both sides. You could see a little bit, after this kind of accumulation that we've had in this zone, you could see a little bit of a manipulation and actually clean move lower. It's possible because we have had really chopped price action for, a couple days. So it's possible as well. We might see, maybe manipulation out of here. Back into this 77.60 area-ish, and like pre-NFP kind of thing, and then reject and lower. That could be something to watch for. So anyways, that's all for me today. Good luck for the rest of the week. And I don't know if I'll make another video for this week, if anything on the weekend, but either way, I'll see you next week. Take care. Bye.